We finally got some brand new leaks today to cover for Winds and Waves. Now, I've been stockpiling these leaks up for a couple of days now. So today's gonna be one of those awesome leak slash rumored slash theory dump videos, which are always my favorite. And I know you guys love this stuff too. And by the end of this video, I want to know your thoughts about everything in here, because we have things kind of all across the board about a very cool feature in this game that would be really awesome for us, and some stuff about some of the brand new Pokemon in the game. Let's just hop right into it today. And quickly, I also wanted to mention that I just opened up a merch store where you can get some stickers or some t-shirts or whatever. Obviously, no pressure at all to buy anything. Link will be in the description down below. All right, let's get right to it. All right, so Pokemon Winds and Waves leak. Seems like we will be able to crest our own island. Maybe it's inspired by Pokepelago slash secret bases, but with a dynamic system where the island gradually grows and changes over time depending on your progression, Pokemon, exploration, or choices. Instead of just a customizable base, it could become a living land that evolves alongside your journey. I love stuff like this. Obviously, the secret bases are pretty cool, and we have had stuff from the Terra League kind of suggesting random, I guess, forming islands that are different for everybody's specific game. Now, these wouldn't be like the main big islands that everyone's game would have, but these would be kind of like the smaller, less important islands, if that makes sense, that would kind of change depending on your gameplay and stuff like that of this game. I personally think that having your own kind of home base island would be awesome, or even if it's just like in house or whatever, where you could add cool stuff, kind of design it, just like how Pokopia is, where you can kind of design your own houses and find cool treasure and stuff to display it. I think that would be super cool to have in Pokemon Winds and Waves, because it would also make it very unique, and I feel like this is a type of feature that they could focus on because of literally the video I dropped yesterday talking about how Nintendo basically promises to give us bigger and better games overall. So Winds and Waves, I mean, guys, I got some high hopes for the game. How do you guys feel about this? Would you want this to be a feature in it? Now let's talk about some of the legendary Pokemon in this game. So this is a potential leak, which obviously does mean that this one isn't very solidified, but it's worth taking a look. So Mr. and Mrs. Wavy Chew cannot be caught. They are apparently going to be the legendaries of the game in a hiding form, which is something we have heard before. This is something that I'm not exactly sure how I feel about that, because I think that would be really cool, but at the same time, I kind of would rather just have these Pikachus be their own unique thing. But we do know the legendary Pokemon of this game from the Terra Leak, which obviously is real 100%, quite literally from Game Freak themselves, basically saying how the legendary Pokemon are kind of going to be inspired by grandpa and grandma, like grandparent vibes, I guess, so probably very old and wise. Apparently they are going to be hiding in their own islands though, kind of like their own secluded areas, so I'm not exactly sure how that would make sense if Mr. and Mrs. Wavy Chew were going to be the legendaries kind of hiding. Also, I realized I kept saying Wavy Chew when it's Mr. Wendy Chew and Miss Wavy Chew. I had to correct myself because I was low-key driving myself nuts with that. Each version apparently lets you obtain a second copy of its mascot legendary, making trades for the opposite one way easier. I feel like that'd be pretty smart and pretty good overall. Dude, one of the biggest struggles of every Pokemon game is getting the version exclusive Pokemon to fill in your Pokedex. Let me know, have you guys struggled with that? Because that one is definitely a pain. Especially if you don't have anyone to like trade with or something, or these Pokemon that you can only evolve by trading. Man, that type of stuff, man, it really is difficult. The cover legendaries are said to gain alternate secondary typings depending on which Majin state that they activate. That would be really cool. I think that's actually really cool, because imagine if like the base legendary Pokemon would be, I don't know, a dragon and a water type, and the other would be a dragon and a flying type or something like that. And when they activate their Majin state, maybe the dragon water type could turn into, I don't know, some sort of dragon and a ground type, and then the dragon flying type will turn into, I don't know, some sort of dragon poison type or something. I don't know. But that would be cool, and if this is true, that would actually give us kind of a little glimpse and a hint as to what this battle evolution gimmick is gonna be, because we still don't exactly know. We just know it's some sort of like Majin weather-based gimmick. So I'm assuming like based on whatever typings that is, so a water type would probably specifically change it to a different type based on that water type, I guess. That's just an example. That's not exactly how it's gonna be. That's just like my theory kind of example. I really want us to get some leaks about the battle evolution gimmick, because it seems like it's going to be really interesting. I don't think we're going to get all of them in this game. We did have a bunch of rumors early on that like everything is going to be in this game, you know, Mega Evolution, Terastallization, Z moves, but I don't think they're going to do that. Although I wouldn't say it's impossible. I wouldn't completely put that thing in the lockbox yet, but I'm just hoping that the battle evolution gimmick is good. Let me know your favorite and your least favorite battle evolution gimmick. I feel like most people's favorite is probably Mega Evolution, because it changes the whole look of the Pokemon, and a lot of people do like that. I feel like people really hate on Terastallization and Z moves the most. Soul over here talking about potential proof that the Ringo and Karasu games are going to be the exact same thing. So I did make a video about this, and I kind of am convinced that Karasu and Ringo are both the exact same game, just kind of formed into one or like turned into something else, if that makes sense. So past Pokemon games have had previous codenames for their own main codenames. Sword and Shield called Rex before Orion, and then Scarlet and Violet was also called Pegasus before it was changed into Titan. In these and the other examples from the Terra Leak, we see how the prototypes move to actual development phases. So that kind of means like Project Ringo was probably the prototype of what is now called Project Karasu, meaning it's just further in development, more like solidified that it's going to be a game. And if you haven't been following the leaks and all the stuff with Karasu and Ringo, it seems like they are Galar games, like a Pokemon Legends Galar game. It's definitely a third Legends game, so that could be Johto, it could be Unova, it could be a Hoenn Legends game, would go crazy. But what do you want that third Legends game to be, guys? Because I think the number one answer is probably Gen 2 and Gen 5 and Gen 7. I see so many Gen 7 Legends wanters out there, I guess I'd say. I wanted to show you the photos that Soul attached to this post. So basically Ku saying that all of the games are basically still in development. This is Ball Guy talking about the next mainline project, Karasu, coming after Pokemon Winds and Waves, which is confirmed to be a Legends game from the leakers, from all the very, very reputable sources out there. And then you can see right here, it was called Ringo, and then it just called Legends 3. So that is proof that this could just have been the prototype of Legends 3, which we do have pictures of. I can't show you guys, but we do have photos of. It's definitely going to change a bit, you know, when the game is fully released. But right here, Legends 3. So that is probably what Karasu has turned into. And in the Terra Leak files, it quite literally tells us Ringo is a prototype game for Legends 3 using Pokemon AI and physics, and it's set in the Galar region 1,000 years ago where there are no balls, Pokeballs to be more specific. I'm making a game where you gather Pokemon locally, create a flock, and battle giant Dynamax Pokemon. How do you guys feel about a Legends 3 being a Galar game? Soul has another crazy theory talking about all of the games, like Pokemon Seed, which is the MMO, DLC and stuff. So he's thinking that there could be one DLC pack a few months after Winds and Waves comes out, and then later on they could announce a Winds and Waves expansion, like WoW or any other big MMO. Because in the Terra Leak it says that Winds and Waves should have some MMO features, which could have been branched out into its own game, like its own individual MMO Pokemon game, or they could still be putting MMO features into Winds and Waves, which they haven't announced yet, but that still could definitely happen. Basically making Winds and Waves a game where we go to different parts of all of the Japanese-based regions, so basically generations 1 through 4 plus Kitakami. He then talks about how MMO games don't last like 1 or 2 years. They last a long time. Like pretty much every MMO game, as long as it's popular, it lasts a long time. And he also makes a very good point of like, how could a Pokemon MMO with all 4 regions be meant to play for less than a year and then Generation 11 comes out? Very solid points, because an MMO game should last a long time, but I personally would prefer it to be its own individual game, because I know I would still be playing it even if Generation 11 comes out. Plus, we don't know how long they're going to delay Generation 11. You know, they could be a 2 or 3 year gap in between that MMO to Generation 11. Would you guys prefer the MMO to be its own game, or just in Winds and Waves kind of as like a post-game kind of content thing, which they probably would make us pay for? Now let's move on to Pokemon Pokopia leaks. So we know that there is a DLC that is planned for this game and has been planned for a long time. So this is more of like a rumor based on the leaks of us actually getting a Pokopia DLC, because we will be getting one, like I just said. 4 brand new areas, potentially 100 plus brand new Pokemon added to the game, 3 new forms, 1 for Kingler, which we have heard that a few times before about a new Kingler variant or like version, whatever. And those 3 new forms would be similar to how, you know, we have Moslax, the new Pikachu form and stuff in the game. Then the biggest one, in my opinion, which is a theory I've been saying for months, is that we could see the Winds and Waves starters in the game, because they have done this before where they have put Pokemon in a game before they released in their generation, like Munchlax. I'm pretty sure Munchlax was released in some sort of spin-off before it came out in Diamond and Pearl. And I think the best game would be to put it into Pokopia. Put the Generation 10 starters in Pokopia. By Q1 of 2027, we may actually have the 3rd stage evolutions revealed by Pokemon and by Game Freak of the Winds and Wave starters. So that's how they could actually also implement it into Pokopia, where they give us, obviously, all 3 evolutions of the Generation 10 starters, just to give us that much more hype for the game. I also do think it is very possible and a little bit likely that we could be seeing more Winds and Waves Pokemon in Pokopia before, obviously, Winds and Waves comes out, and then definitely after. I feel like they would definitely do some as well. Let me know what potential leak in today's video was your favorite. We got a bunch of leaks and a bunch of rumors and a bunch of theories right now. It is so hype. My hype level is still through the roof, even though I won't even lie, leaks have been a little bit dry recently, but we're still getting new information coming out. If you are watching this far in the video, comment down below, Sea Turtle, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.